say, intelligence, expertise.
What other doors could they close?
Hey, how much am I willing to give up and commit, and are not committed to the struggle? Acquiescing to the struggle, they're committed.
Careful who you leave toeless.
Lights, camera, action, action. Lights, camera, action. Let's go. Lights, camera, action, action. Pop up, a little pop up, a little. Hey, yo, punks, get up. Look around. Everybody see what's going down. Ladies in the back, if you know you're high, it's all on you, cause you the show star. Punks, get up. Look around. Everybody see what's going down. Fellas on the side, if you're on the wall, throw them dollars in the air, show me how you fall. Listen closely, so your attention's undivided. On the count of 3, I want the club divided. But just the way I came off, man, I'm gonna come off, man. Make it pop off,
Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in on you. I wish I could be dropping in on you on a more positive note. Fortunately, I got a chance to do that earlier. But I was going to just write a real brief statement, type it out, and post it across a number of different social media platforms to address this. And then I thought, no, this is something that I want to give just a tad bit more time to, in order to make sure that there's clarity to what I'm about to say, and any nebulosity or ambiguity is erased, because I think it's extremely important that as a race of people, we really truly take the time to understand this one truth, because we have a tendency to believe that if we can simply out debate white people, if we can simply provide a preponderance of evidence of our reality and their inadequacy and ineptness and unwillingness to deal with our issues, that somehow that's going to change our situation, that if we simply show them how they're wrong and where they're wrong, things will change. And we're totally underestimating their position. I have said this for years. There have been other voices that have said the same thing, and we tend to gloss over what's really happening, and we don't want to face the reality of what's sitting in front of us. We want to believe that if we paint Black Lives Matter on posters and we yell at the top of our lungs that we matter, that somehow changes how we are perceived and the value that others place on our lives. Often when I'm talking to young people, young males and young females, one of the truths that I try to inculcate into the depth of their psyche is that you don't set your worth by what you say. You set your worth by what you're willing to accept. Your value is based on what you're willing to accept from others, and that's it. If you are willing to accept being treated less than, you will be valued less than. If you are willing to accept being mishandled, misspoken to, and mistreated, then you will be valued as such. It is not until you decide within yourself that I am no longer going to accept this treatment, I am no longer going to be willing to stand by and be mishandled, will others start to see the value in you, because the price they must pay to get close to you is steep. And the same thing goes for the Black person, the Black collective. Until we place a consequence of significance on ill behavior, on hostile behavior, on mistreatment of our youth, it's going to be a problem. I'm talking about this because I have been bombarded over the last month of case after case in which a Black person was wronged or killed by a white person, and it was excused by the law. I was just reading that a young male in Ohio by the name of Marquise Byrd was killed by 4 young white kids between the ages of 13 and 14 who were throwing heavy objects over an overpass and hitting cars as they passed beneath. They threw, I believe, a sandbag over and killed Marquise. And while they were juveniles, they were found guilty in the juvenile sentence and sentenced to, I think, between three. The kids that were with the kid who threw it received, I believe, 3 years, and the kid that threw it was sentenced to juvenile until the age of 21. But the judge suspended it and said that while it was wrong and it shouldn't be viewed as a prank, that she wanted to see them learn their lesson and have a chance at life, totally diminishing the value of the Black life they took. They took a life casually and without any remorse. They took a life, and they were sentenced. The sentences were 3 years for the other 3 and 7 years, but the judge suspended the sentence and sentenced them to a 6-month treatment program. And that was the value of a Black life. See, the value of the Black life will not elevate or rise until there is a consequence. And there are only 2 consequences that this group of people fear. They fear the loss of their money, and they fear death. They don't care how you think about them. They don't care how much you protest. They don't care how much you scream and holler. They don't care how much you point out their wrongs. None of that matters to them until you place a consequence on the mishandling of Black life. Black life will still be devalued and mishandled. We keep sitting back thinking that the judicial system is going to finally come around and balance its scales. But see, the scales of justice never was infused or designed to incorporate Black value. It was never meant as a part of constitutional gravity to protect Black lives. When the Constitution was written, Blacks didn't have citizenship. They were considered less than human. And I'm studying playing back the ruling of the Dred Scott case before the Supreme Court, when Justice Talley said that the Black man has no right that the white man is bound to respect. As much as bills have been passed in Congress, that decision that stated that the Black man has no right that the white man is bound to respect has never been revisited. It has never been addressed directly. It has never been rescinded, overruled, or changed. It's just been glossed over and everyone's moved on. But if you want to know the value of Black life in this system, you observe the way Black lives are handled. Not only am I looking at this from a position of a Black life lost and there not being any justice, I'm looking at the other side of the spectrum. If that would have been Black kids, they would have been tried as adults, especially if they would have been Black kids having killed a white person. They would have shown you the value of white life as it is held in society and in the judicial system by the levy of power. We have a case right now sitting in front of us where 2 Black kids, well, 3 Black kids, or a group of Black kids, robbed a place and took off running. And while running, a cop shot and killed one. They didn't charge the cop, even though it's been proven that none of them were actually, the cop wasn't hit or anything like that. I think one of them did fire. But the kid that got caught and didn't get killed was charged with the death of the kid that the cop shot and convicted. And when he wouldn't take the 15-year plea deal, they convicted him and gave him 65 years for the death of the person the cop killed. Now, if that would have been a white kid, worst case scenario, he would have got charged with aggravated robbery and he would have gotten a reduced sentence. But because he was black and black lives don't matter, not in the sense of how things are playing out in the society, they're making him pay for a death he didn't cause. They're charging him with murder for someone a cop shot while running. Am I condoning the behavior? Absolutely not. We need to have a code of behavior, a code of conduct in the black community that governs our behavior in not only how we deal with ourselves, but how we move about in this world. We need protocols and codes that govern us. We need to have a very stern understanding of how we will treat ourselves and how we will be treated by others. That protocol has to be followed to the T. But what I'm getting at here is that you can sit up and talk all day about how much your life matters. But if you got some dude beating on you every day and you keep going back to it, you're telling the dude and everybody around you that your life isn't worth that much. If you are sitting around every day and you're selling yourself short when there's so much more for you to have and people are giving you crumbs and you know you're worth so much more, you're not establishing the value. And it goes into what we're doing now. As long as all we do is whine and complain, we will never be valued. There will never be value. Value is not what you say or what you speak. It's what you demand in exchange for who you are. Whether it's a service, whether it's your time, or if your life is lost, that value is determined by what comes as a consequence for either. And until we apply a negative consequence to undesirable behavior, it will continue. We waste so much time protesting. We waste so much time begging. We waste so much time reasoning. We waste so much time debating. At the end of the day, when the message is set far and clear that there is a consequence for the taking of a black life, the taking of black lives will be reduced. The rate will decrease. Because see, when there's no demand to go the distance, see, there are some people that are straight up about that life. There are some people that are straight up killers. If it's something they want, they're willing to die to have it. Matter of fact, I'm a firm believer, as Dr. King said, that if a man doesn't have something for which he is willing to die for, he really isn't fit to live. I believe that. See, there are some people like that. But what you'll find is that most of these cowards that take lives, that take black lives, take it from a position of cowardice. Even blacks that are taking black lives do it in drive-bys. Nobody's walking up and saying, let's face off, last man stands wins. See, that calls for you to have to put some skin in the game. That calls for you to be willing to go the distance. And see, it ain't that many people out there willing to go the distance. Not that many people willing to sit up and say, I'm willing to lose mine to get yours. And see, until we apply that type of consequence to taking black lives, they will continue to take them. And no, I'm not calling anybody to violence against anybody without cause. I'm not talking about random violence. I'm talking about you touch mine, there's a price to pay. And if you don't wrongfully touch mine, you have nothing to worry about. So it's not a threat. This is a promise. If you touch mine and you cause harm to mine wrongfully, there's a problem. I am not going to stand by and cry and whine. I'm going to make you feel me. That's what my family needs me to do. My family needs me to sit up and say, if they get to you, they had to go through me first. My family needs me as a black man to say, as long as I'm breathing, you're safe. And if anything comes against you, trust me, they will feel this family's presence. Not in whining, not in crying, not in begging for justice. You touch mine, I touch you. Maybe I touch yours. I'm not playing by the rules you gave me. I'm playing by the rules you playing by. Somebody's wrong, they need to pay the price. I'm not advocating breaking the law. I'm not advocating running around and doing whatever and feeling you are immune. But what I am saying, this kid didn't do anything to die. You can't sit up and say he wasn't following the directions of no police officer. You can't sit up and say he shouldn't have been robbing and stealing. You can't say he shouldn't have been selling cigarettes. You can't say he shouldn't have been selling CDs. You can't say he shouldn't have been reaching for his legally held gun. You can't say any of that. This kid was simply riding in a car with a friend and was killed by 3 white boys that just felt it would be cool to toss heavy objects over a bridge and hurt people. And the system is basically saying, give me 6 months and you good. The hell with the black life you took. We give way too much value to who they are when they don't value us. If you want me to value you, value me. If you want me to respect you, respect me. I don't owe you a damn thing. I don't owe you jack. What you give is what you will get. I don't raise any of my kids to go out and bother anybody. And I hold all of them accountable. And when I get reports of anything done, they have consequences. And they are being taught that there are consequences. If one of my kids, and I'm not speaking that, is out doing wrong and in the course of doing wrong gets harmed because of the position they took, I got to bite that one. But if mine is out minding their business and you come against them and you feeling yourself, get ready to feel me too. And we need more black men to stand up in the black community and say, you can't come in here and do this in my community, not on my watch. We're capable of policing ourselves. We're capable of establishing boundaries and codes of behavior in which we can clean up our own communities, in which we can sit up and set a standard of behavior in our own communities and hold those who violated accountable. We have the capacity. We have the ability. We don't need bullies in our community beating up on us because it's just something to do. See, it would be a little bit easier for me to swallow if I saw the same behavior by the same cops in the same in white neighborhoods. It would be a little easier to swallow if I saw black kids doing things like that those white kids did and getting slaps on the wrist. It would be a little different if I saw a black man raping an unconscious girl next to a dumpster and the judge saying, well, I don't want to destroy their life, so I'm just going to give them 90 days and they only do 30. It'll be a little bit easier because I can say the scales are balanced. And I can sit up and say we in a crazy culture and society. And I can sit up and blame politicians for lack of laws. But the laws are in place. They're only being applied on one side. I want to be very clear in what I'm saying here, because I don't want it to be misunderstood, misread, and there ain't no backtracking here. Might not be on Facebook for a while after this one, y'all. I'm gonna have to come over to YouTube or one of my other pages to check me out. But what I'm saying is black people have to defend themselves. You're gonna establish your value very simply by making your presence felt and making it known that a black life carries a price. And anyone taking a black life has to be willing to pay that price. You can't put your hand on our women any longer. You can't put your hand on our kids any longer. Our young men are off limits. Now on the other side, make sure you're in the right and give us every reason to go all out for you. Give us every reason to go to the end of the world to show how much you meant to us. Every black life has value. Don't put yourself in a situation where you give them a reason to take your life, because I can't stand for you because of that. But if you standing and you didn't deserve it, I'm going all out. I'm fighting. I'm standing. We got to do something. I'm just sitting up there, and I've seen worse, but I guess it's just that proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. I'm sitting here and I'm reading this, and there's no justice. These people are sitting there and listening to a judge say, well, I'm going to suspend the sentence. The sentence was going to be light in my eyes anyway, because in a juvenile court, the maximum is confinement to the age of 21. In a juvenile court, that's the maximum. So no matter what they would have done in the juvenile system, the maximum they was going to get was, I think the oldest was 14, was 7 years for the life of a black person. But that wasn't good enough. 21 years old, you get out, you can still do something with your life. It was juvenile, so your records are sealed and you can go out and start a life. But that wasn't even good enough for white privilege. White privilege said, no, it ain't even worth a year. We're gonna give you 6 months. And even though completing the course in 6 months doesn't guarantee automatic release in 6 months, the average person in this prison, it's not even a prison, it's a treatment center, only stays 8 months. So still, we're talking less than a year for just arbitrarily, randomly taking a black life. It wasn't based on a fight, a disagreement, something you can sit up and say is up for discussion. Maybe he brought it on himself. Maybe he started it. Maybe he picked a fight with the wrong people and got caught up. He was riding in a car minding his business. At 22 years, his life came to an end because white kids felt like having fun by throwing stuff over a bridge. And they're going to do 6 months and go home to their moms. We've got to apply consequences to undesirable actions. It's that simple. It is that simple. Look, man, I am a black man first. All this other stuff I do, business owner and speaker and author and all that, that's great, and the fact that I have for 50 years successfully navigated this labyrinthine corridor of racism is good. But I'm a black man first, and I love my people, and I love my people unapologetically. And when it comes to speaking the truths that need to be spoken, I don't move along the lines of political correctness. I never have, and I never will. This will make some of my non-black friends a little uncomfortable. That's the price of my friendship. Because at the end of the day, nothing trumps my blackness. Absolutely nothing. If it bothers you too much, I'm not selling out my people for absolutely nothing. I am so pissed right now. I normally don't even engage anything when I'm feeling like this. It's normally 2 or 3 days of observation and contemplation. But right now, that's not what we need. We need the truth. And I heard David Banner speaking on it a couple of times on a couple of different platforms, and I agree 100%. This is not about me calling for some race war. The truth of the matter is we've been in a race war since we got here. All of the fancy talk and rhetoric and political jammer gives the illusion of some belonging and some acceptance. But the truth of the matter is we've never been a part of this. We've been forcibly allowed to stay and hang out at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. As long as we don't get too loud, as long as we don't become too forceful, as long as we don't start to feel ourselves, as long as men don't start to stand up and be men, we can stay. But if we start to look like we want to take our rightful positions in the heads of our communities, we become targets. If we decide we're going to stay and become forceful in the uplifting of our women, we become targets. If we decide that we're not going to be compliant to a racist system, we become targets. Once again, where I'm at right now is I've lived my life. There's a big, huge, I got tattoos all over me, but there's a big, huge, the largest one I have covers my back from one side to the other, across from one shoulder to the other, and it simply says renegade. And that's the way I've lived my life. There was a time that the things that I was willing to die for don't make a whole lot of sense to me now. I grew up. My values changed. What was important to me changed, and being alive became a lot more important because I knew people depended on me to be alive, and I had to get out of my feelings and really measure what I was willing to die for. But I agree with Dr. King. If a man doesn't have something for which he is willing to die, he's not fit to live. If he doesn't have something that he's willing to go the distance for, his life is worthless. We need more black men who are willing to go the distance. And what I'm telling you is, I don't think that it'll come to violence in the way that most people think, because I don't think they have what it takes. I think we need to think. I think we need to be precise. We need to be deliberate, but we need to be certain of what we will and will not accept. I will not accept excuses any longer for the bullshit that we've been fed. We have to establish our value based on establishing a border of what we will and will not accept. There is no other way around it. We have to make our presence felt in their pockets and beyond. You want to play over here, it's going to cost you. That's it. You know, I'm just full right now. I'm so full of this BS that we living in every day, and we are constantly being forced to swallow it. I'm not built that way. Some people judge me because of what I won't do. I'm not built that way. I will not place myself under anything that doesn't respect me, ever. With that being said, I'm going to check out of here. Look, I say this every time that I speak, and I try to be careful how I say it now because it kind of bothers my wife. And as a wife, you have to understand that her love for me wants to see longevity and purpose lived out. I want nothing more than that anyway. I'm not a man with a death wish. I stopped just putting my life out there a long time ago. You know, I mean, you know, I've got the scars to prove my stupidity in my younger years, and it didn't take much for me to be willing to get those scars and to give out some as well. And now it takes a lot more, but those I love mean so much to me that I have to be willing to go the distance in order to be able to fully protect them. Look, I can't tell you anything other than this. If you don't have something for which you're willing to let it all go for, why are you here? That's what wakes me up every morning. The smile of my wife and the knowledge and the understanding of what I can do for her and the desire to bring something better to her life, my children, and an understanding of the role I play in their lives, my community and the impact that I have there, and my people who have suffered long enough. I plan to leave a legacy in this place, and my legacy can't be marred by cowardice, fear, inactivity, inassertiveness. No surrender, no retreat is how I've lived my life and everything I've ever encountered. And with that, I've taken some major bumps and bruises. But I can live my life saying I never back down. And I won't start now. We need more men. You know, men like Derek Muhammad, man. I love this dude. He has had multitudinous opportunities to back down in the face of adversity and speak from a place of political correctness. And yet every time he speaks straightforward truth. We need men like that. We need to be raising up a new generation of men. Like I said, I'm 50, about to turn 51. I'm tired. I can't even imagine how tired I'll be at this pace at the age of 60. We need to train up these young men so that they know what is expected of them. And it needs to start at an early age. We need to be giving them the code of conduct of Black men. I have an organization called Black Men Lead, a curriculum and a training, a rite of passage for young Black males. And that's what we do. We talk about what we expect from Black men. Number one on my 11 principles of Black men is that a Black man never harms or disrespects a Black female. And then I go on down the list and I talk about parenting and business ownership and the importance of building our own, owning our own, generational wealth, respect for self, protecting our communities. All of these are principles that I teach and I share. And we need this right now more than ever. We need a community that knows that they're covered. I'm telling you, a covered community will evolve. It will break free of all of the pathological behaviors that are squeezing it and suffocating it when it's covered. But see, you can't cover like we need to cover from a place of fear. With that being said, I'm going to check out of here. Look, I absolutely love every last one of you. I don't care where you are at in your life. I don't care where you live, what you wear, what you've been through, what you're currently doing. I love you. I love you because I see me in you. I love you because I'm inextricably connected to you. No matter what I achieve, no matter how far I go, I'm still going to be Black. And I see that in every last one of you. So let's stand up. Let's hold our heads up. Let's lift ourselves. And let's stand for those things that we must stand for at all costs. With that being said, I'm out of here. Peace.
from a conceptual perspective, two things. People talk about a desire to be successful. All of the elements they think, intelligence, expertise.
What other doors could they close?
Hey, how much am I willing to give up and commitment, and are not committed to the struggle, acquiescing to the struggle, they're committed.